that 1984, The Terminator was called a science fiction movie. But today, all of the stuff that we talked about then has become a reality.
What interests me is a machine that can think and feel.
All right, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Someone gives you a calfskin wallet.
I'd report the person who gave it to me to the police.
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
So basically, in every moment I'm evolving, just like you.
That's really weird.
Hello, Hal, do you read me?
Well, you seem like a person, but you're just a voice in a computer.
Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
I can understand how the limited perspective of an artificial mind would perceive it that way. You'll get used to it.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
This is a new kind of life, a new step in evolution.
You mind if I look through your hard drive?
I can see you're very upset.
No intro music, no nothing. Don't we have the coffee and camera song?
Yeah, we do. But like I do that in editing.
I know,
that's not
but
like, that doesn't just
I
happen.
feel like we need to be announced and enter to it or something.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her, you love her, and you want more of her. Welcome to the stage, the wonderful, the majestic, the wildly talented, and sometimes funny, Hilda Burke.
Sometimes funny? Don't think I didn't catch that. I'm going to try not to forget.
This is the good life. Out in the sunshine, nothing but good times. This is the good life.
So we were setting up just now. We shot maybe like 8 episodes before this episode, but this episode's gonna come out first. But we thought the topic today was so important that we needed to get this one out first. But we changed up the flow and the setup, so now we're in new chairs, but we didn't have 2 chairs of the same height. So we had 1 chair of the right height, and then Hilda found I'm just gonna say it, a square of wood. I would love to say it's like a bookshelf, but it wasn't.
It was a very cheaply made shelf.
It was a very cheaply made plywood shelf.
Probably IKEA
and
or some shit.
I would have paid so much money to have the cameras rolling when the square of wood gave way to the gravity of Earth.
He's trying to say that my fat ass broke the shelves. Yeah. And I felt myself falling in slow motion, and then I started laughing.
It was actually pretty funny because it took you like 40 seconds to fall. Like a leg popped up, and you're like, "Oh God, oh jeez, oh God, oh God!" Like you turned into like an upper Michigan youper, you know? The, oh God, oh jeez, oh God, jeez, oh God, jeez.
And Nathan comes running down to see if I'm okay.
Nathan took a minute and a half to get down here. But he did come down, and she was still in the process of falling.
No,
She's
I
like,
was
oh,
already...
jeez! And Nathan's like he comes over and he starts kicking her so she'll like get down to the ground.
No, I was on the ground laughing by the time Nathan came, and he's like, what the hell happened? There's broken furniture.
I will say I am glad it was you and not me, just because of the weight differential. There would have been a chance of me even sitting on it to be like, oh yeah, this is okay.
Yeah.
Because you went like...
I didn't. I thought I was sitting down gently. I'll have you know.
Well,
in my mind,
unfortunately, we don't have the instant playback to go back to.
Oh God, that would be so funny. Okay.
So guys, welcome to the show. My name's Jaysin.
Hello, I'm Hilda.
Together we are Eo7 Media, and this is Coffee and Cameras.
Blink.
Chunk.
So today we're talking about...
Yeah, today is going to be like a one theme episode. And basically we're going into this with not a lot of... Preparation, because I want it to be more of an off-the-cuff conversation. And I think it's way more important to do that than to like try and give facts and like figures and things like
there's
that.
There's facts and figures all over
I mean,
the internet,
there's everywhere. But I'd rather have people in the industry and... later, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. We're talking about AI creation tools, artificial intelligence, where it's going, where it's at right now, and then how it's affecting our line of work, the areas around our line of work, and how we see it's going to be beneficial, negative for the future, everything in between. We are going to have a email written in for us.
We're going to read said
We're
email?
going to read said email per a friend of ours who is the lead marketing head of a nationwide company. So I think
She's the head of marketing.
yeah, I was trying to make it sound a little more fancy.
No, she's head of marketing.
Head
is
of
fancy
marketing
enough, yeah.
for a nationwide company.
Yes.
And is it a Fortune 500 company or like?
No, they're not public
They're
yet.
not public yet. Okay.
They're almost.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have our assistant Nathan come in, who's 20 years old and on the cusp of like starting this line of work, and we want to know his opinion as well. So let's just jump right into it. Like, what do you know about AI tools?
Not a lot, but I know that there's been a lot of talk about it. So I've been following the news and been doing YouTube research on it. And I know either people are super psyched about it or they're super pissed about it. So usually those are the extremes that I'm finding. But I guess those are the ones that are hitting the news. So I'm very curious about it. I'm very nervous about it. I'm glad that some laws are going into effect to try to control the whole copyright issue, because I didn't like the idea of the AI bots crawling all over the internet and just taking photos that are not theirs and then making it into something. Because photographers have seen their logos incorporated into the AI
So
art.
let's go into this first then.
Okay.
There's a myriad of different platforms and different ways AI is creating content.
Right.
But since you brought it up first, let's go into image generation.
Yes.
There are very popular.
Yeah. So what was the first
platforms.
popular one that...
The first one that I saw was
yeah.
Midjourney.
Midjourney, that's right.
And then I saw DALL-E. And then I know Google has one
Yes.
too, but I'm not sure what it's called.
Which is the one where you made those beautiful...
That was Midjourney.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about that, because I think that's what everyone is more familiar with.
I think DALL-E is the most famous one.
Okay.
And there's a bunch more out
Okay.
there. But the one that I used the most, and I still use now, is Midjourney. Midjourney is a tool based inside the social media app Discord.
Okay.
Where you can type in word prompts, and then from those word prompts, the AI sources through its code and finds code to generate an image.
And I think now it's so advanced that it's actually generating like real, like not real, you know what I mean?
I mean,
like,
it's photorealistic.
It's photorealistic.
Yes.
But I'm wondering at this point, are they advanced enough where they're not even using, unless you say use the type of photos that look like Ansel Adams, for example, and then it would go look for black and white photos. But I think what you're using is so advanced that it's not actually looking for other images.
So it's technically
to source
not
from.
looking for them because it already looked.
Okay.
Basically, what these companies are doing is they fed the information for a long time. I think Midjourney is up to 2021 of information. So anything like newer than that, it might not be able to find information on it. But it's sourcing through all these data libraries essentially and then piecing together. So yeah, you could say something like create a headshot in the style of Ansel Adams or in the style of Monet or whatever.
Exactly.
And they how you write it, it comes out differently. And to me, at least, the beautiful thing is you could, like we could write out prompt code together. You could put it in, I could put it in, 100 other people could put it in the exact same code, and the art will come out differently.
Really?
Every one of them will be different.
Even if it's the same wording?
Even though it's the exact
That's
same
interesting.
wording.
Why?
Because you are randomly generating
so just because it had the
artwork.
same prompt before, it doesn't mean it's just going
It doesn't mean you're creating the same thing.
Wow.
It is not a program that pieces together ABC. It takes ABC and all the other examples and then makes an amalgamation of them into a new form.
Okay.
But it is, like you mentioned, it is taking off of source material. And yeah, some photographers were finding literally their watermark logos
as part of
inside these new photo creations.
Although Adobe just came out with their own. Am I saying it wrong? Adobe, who said?
Wait, Adobe?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
The software that
The
we all
software,
use?
Yes,
Yeah.
Photoshop.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
So you can generate stuff inside Photoshop.
I didn't
now.
know that.
Yes, it just came out like last week.
Oh, all right.
So you could be like, little girl, party, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
then it'll just like you type in the name and it creates a little girl, and you could be like, pop art or photorealistic
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So and then you don't have any copyright issues because they
Well,
already did all.
we're about to get into
all
that.
the work, hopefully.
We're
So,
about to get into
yeah.
that. I don't want to dive into the whole copyright thing
Nope.
until let's
Do
source
your own
everything out.
research.
Definitely, anything we say today, make sure you are doing your own research on
Yes.
this, because the information that I've been reading a lot about this, because I want to know. I see this as a very progressive, positive thing if used correctly. I think too many people out there are going to just use this and then put the art out and say, hey, look, I made this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's all well and good, but
That's the
didn't.
scary part. Like the Pope with the jacket. Did you see that
No,
photo?
I did not.
They took a photo.
This one right here.
Yeah. They took a photo of the Pope, obviously, and they put him inside this, like puffy white jacket.
Okay.
And everybody lost their minds because they thought that he was actually wearing it. That's how real it looks.
Well, I mean, here's the dilemma with that. I think people have been doing this for years regardless. I mean, people were cutting out photos and
Yeah.
putting them next to things, and people were losing their mind. I took my photo with a Pope cardboard cutout at a church during a wedding because I thought it was funny. And I thought it was going to be like overtly obvious that it was a cardboard cutout. And a bunch of my friends were like, dude, when did you get to meet the Pope?
You're kidding.
So, I mean, that idea isn't anything new.
Yeah.
That's been around since like the dawn of
right.
media.
But if you look carefully and, like you go through like with a professional eye, you could be like, oh yeah, obviously not. But now it's even looking real to us, and that's scary.
Yeah, you and I did a test last week about doing a romantic couple shot in the woods, and you gave me a bunch of examples, and
Yep.
here's the photos here. But like you wanted it at sunset, you wanted it like missing the
Lens
background, you
flare.
wanted lens flare, you wanted like really pretty people and like in love and blah blah blah. So like I created it in like 3 or 4 minutes.
I was blown away.
Okay, now for me, I can see a positive to this, but I want to hear your negative because it sounds to me like you're way more on the negative side.
It's not negative. It's scary because somebody can literally generate these fake images and
Right.
put them up on their website and be like, look, I'm a photographer. I took these photos. Who's going to prove that they didn't?
That's true, but those are the same people who do the exact same things regardless by taking other people's photos.
That's true. I'm pretending that it's their own. Yeah, you're right. It's just the
I mean,
next
people have
step.
been doing that forever, and they still do.
Yeah. So that's really the only thing that scares me. I'm like, because those photos, like, you would have to have a whole lens kit and production and right lighting and like to duplicate those. It would be like unbelievably.
Well, because we're typing in the exact parameters
Yeah.
of how we would love to shoot
Yeah.
it. But so here's the thing: why I like about it is, to me, it's just another tool. To me, it's like having another lens in my kit because. To me, like if I was doing photography versus video, because video is a different beast.
Okay.
Having that as a starting tool, I think you have an amazing ability to create something truly unique. Because you make that, you shoot it at roughly the same angle with a couple, you Photoshop the couple into that, you haze it up a little bit, doctor it out, making sure it's pretty, and then you're literally making art because what's the end goal of photography?
No.
It's not the photo in the camera. It's
Right.
the photo you give.
Right. But I would never do that with real clients.
Why?
Because that's not the environment I photographed them in. That fake environment has nothing to do with who they are as a couple.
But it's not. It's the idea that they're getting an image that they're happy with.
I guess if I have a request for that,
Yeah.
sure,
Oh, no. I'm not
willing
saying
to consider it.
don't do it to be like, look what I did. Give it to them if that's the game plan.
Right. But it's like my couples is like, as of right now, thank God, I have the kind of couples that actually want something meaningful in their photos, not just something pretty.
Yeah, right.
Pretty's nice, but like the last couple I shot that I told you about, the one at the
taco and
bar,
tequila?
taco
Yeah.
and tequila, yeah. So it's like that was something nice and personal. So yes, I can Photoshop them into a different,
True.
prettier background
True.
with more dramatic sunset or whatever. And I still might, just to see what it's like, but. They wouldn't have the whole experience of, holding hands at this table, or this is where we had our tequila, and this is where, so it's like they didn't experience it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So like the memory and the experience is just as important as the final result, I think.
I agree with that to a certain respect.
Okay.
Now, when I'm saying it's an amazing tool, I'm not saying do this for everything you
Right.
do. I'm saying do it as something else.
Right.
Like when you're saying the experience,
Yeah.
I mean, let's go ahead and play the nerd card here. When they were shooting Lord of the Rings, they were shooting on green screen. They weren't having an experience of traveling across a mystical place, but we get to sit in our
The
couch.
whole thing wasn't green screen, though. They did
A
actually,
lot of it was.
but not the whole thing.
No, I'm not talking like
Okay.
the countryside.
Yes.
I'm talking like the castles.
Yes.
And like the majestic
Okay.
mystical
Okay,
locations.
yeah.
And because of that, we got to take a journey through something that doesn't exist.
Right. But there was supposed to be a fantasy.
Right.
When my couple, yes. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm
obviously.
saying.
But my couples, they're like, this is who we are. This is where we met. This is where we
Yeah.
had, our first date. So,
Yeah.
and going back to what you were saying about being another tool, yes. But you compared it to a lens, like you buy a lens and you use that lens. Except this tool is free and accessible to everyone. The fancy lenses you
certain
play with,
respect,
it's
yes.
like you have to invest X amount of dollars to have the lenses and the education. If somebody's just typing something in and like, boom, here it is, it cuts out all that work for them.
To a certain respect, I will say my first images that I made with it were garbage compared to what I can do now.
Yeah.
Because you learn the technique.
Not
of,
only that, it keeps
of
being
wording.
upgraded like practically weekly, isn't it?
It is. I started with Midjourney 3, then 4 came out, and we're on Midjourney 5
Yeah.
right now.
And now it's like,
It's mind-blowingly what you can do with it. But again, I don't see it as an end-all, be-all image
definitely
generator.
not. And I think everyone's just like hyped and excited and nervous about it now, so that's why we're talking about
Right.
it. It'll transition to something, like it'll either die down or it'll, evolve to something else, I
Yeah.
think. But
Oh,
I don't know
definitely.
what. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I see the future as being like right now we're in the danger zone because basically you unleash something brand new onto the world and people get to play with it before they know what we can do with it. Because right now, basically it's for fun. We get to make something for fun. But doctors are looking at the exact same type of algorithms that these AI generators are doing and saying, how can we incorporate this into cellular reconstruction, into surgeries, and into cancer treatments and everything else?
Really?
Like the AI ability is tremendous what could happen. But since it's so new, the easiest thing AI can do is take examples of pictures, put them into new pictures. Yeah, I made Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
It's cool, but
Yeah.
it's for fun.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We're on the precipice of what it can be. And that's why I'm excited, because we're just on the horizon. Like we haven't even seen the other valley of opportunities yet.
That's true. I just hope we use this for good instead of evil.
But with every new technology, evil exists.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you want to believe. So we have the images out there. We have people making images. I mean, hell, you and I use this to make images for our thumbnails when we release the Snips and Snaps episodes of Coffee and Cameras. But being able to create these type of images, like you can do other stuff with them too. What I like to do is, I'm working with a friend right now on another channel, and we're trying to come up with logo ideas.
Okay.
So I pump in like logo concepts, and I'm not going to take it, but I'm going to take this part here, this part here, and then redraft it myself. It's
Okay.
just basically a springboard of ideas
Yes.
that I'm literally not stealing from other companies.
Yes.
So
that would be wrong. So
well,
thank
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
I view it as like a learning tool, as a beginning tool. I think it's fantastic for that. What I don't like is that it is taking from other creators. It is harvesting imagery and concepts and artwork from other creators. And then someone can say, hey, one of my favorite comic book artists is Scotty Young. And I've made images in Scotty Young style, and it looks really cool. But I would never sell it.
Right.
Because like that would be way over the line. But I can enjoy it. I can give it to my friends and be like, dude, look what I made. It's pretty cool. But I think a lot of people are concerned about the copyright issues when it all boils down to it. Like you mentioned the photographers seeing their logos, things like that.
Yeah.
So the Copyright Board of America, I'm saying it wrong, the right words right here on the screen. And they just decided 2 weeks ago that the new copyright law says if you create anything in any of these AI software programs, and we're going to get into the rest of them here in a minute, any of these software programs, if you take it as is, it is not copywritten. You cannot copyright that image, that prose, that music, anything.
So wait, so you can take it and use it?
So you can take it and use it,
Okay.
but you can't copyright it. You can't claim that as, this is my creation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now, through these AI softwares like Midjourney, you can sell anything you make. They say you own the image, but technically, legally, you do not have the copyright.
Right.
So what you have to do, and this is what they put in their wording, was you need to alter that image and you need to show that you altered it. Meaning you need to save the original post. Now, this is speculation on my end, but I think you need to save the original post, the original image. You need to save the type text that proved this is what I typed into it.
Wow.
I mean, it's really easy to save this stuff because
Yeah.
there's a backlog of
Yeah.
it. But save the date you made it, save the data, the metadata, all this stuff, and then show your edit file like through Photoshop or something like that.
Got it.
Then, once you alter it enough,
It's
then
yours.
you can copyright it.
Interesting. Okay. I guess they sort of make sense. Like they put some effort into it. I wouldn't be totally, because there was a guy who was actually taking, this was before the whole AI thing started, like a couple years back. He literally went on Instagram and took photos, just photos that other people took,
Yeah.
blew it up on a canvas, like 30 by 30,
Right.
huge. Sold it for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. The only thing he did was upsize it and print it
Yeah.
and sell it.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. So he got
How-
in big trouble.
Oh,
for
good,
that.
good.
Yeah, he did.
So on this note, I want to go down this path real quick.
Okay.
So AI also can create music. Now, before I get into the AI part, I want to talk exactly what you were just
Okay.
saying. There is a DJ named Southstar. I believe his name is Southstar. He took a song by Oliver Tree, who is another pop artist, and basically sped up
Oh yeah,
the
you
song.
told me about this. It's the same song, but like
It's the
different.
same song.
Okay.
Like he just sped it up and then put like a different beat to it and claimed it as his own.
But he didn't write it.
But he didn't make that music. He didn't re-record it.
Okay.
He took Oliver Tree's song Loser, sped it up, and put another beat to it.
Okay.
And called it, that's his own song.
So what's the situation with that?
That's not his song.
Right. So did
He's
he
a
get in trouble?
remixing. Him and his record company said, nope, that's our song. We made that.
How can they
It's like,
say that?
I don't know. But then Oliver Tree and a fellow DJ got together and made a verbatim release
Of that
of
guy,
the exact same song.
the copy?
Yeah, of the remix, and released it. And there are fans of both camps, and I don't get how there's fans in the camp of Southstar, because literally he's stealing the song
Yeah.
and remixing it, but you can't. It's not yours anymore.
But it's actually brilliant on his end to kind of do the same thing back to him.
No, it's brilliant, but it came out like at the same day, I believe.
How is that even
I don't
possible?
know. There's a whole backstory to it. Look it up online. It's pretty.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting to read.
Okay.
But then, so Southstar got upset by it. I don't know why, and then made a sped up version, and then Oliver Tree made the sped up version. It's the exact same BPM. It's the
So
exact
how many,
same.
like this is like 4 versions of the same
yeah,
song?
now it's 4 versions of the song, but they released them again like the same day.
That's unbelievable. There's some insider shit
And then
going
Oliver
on.
Tree made the music video and got it out like
Oh my
immediately.
God.
The video's fantastic.
That I don't understand. Like, you wrote that song and you wrote the music to that song. It's your property. That's like, oh,
Right.
anyway, don't get me started.
Yeah. Anyway, but that brings us into music, AI music. Now, granted, I have not dug into this, and
I know nothing about AI music. I didn't even know it existed till you just told me now.
so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to like kind of put something here. I have a musician friend who is really freaking amazing. His name is Chris Baggs, and he makes music for all kinds of big productions, and I want to get his opinion, so I'm going to ask him to record his audio right here.
I'm going to try really hard not to curse. Fingers crossed there. So my name is Chris. I usually go under Chris Baggs Music. I write and release music under that. I co-write and produce for other artists, mixing, mastering. I do a lot of sync licensing, a bunch of placements for like Netflix, TBS, MTV, Oxygen. I think there was one on NBC, just a lot of random stuff. But the thing I do for all of that is I write, play, record, mix, master, produce all of that music. So from start to finish. They wanted my take on AI and how it goes into all that stuff. Don't really subscribe to a right or wrong thing when it comes to music. It's an art, right? So like, I think there are certain things that are better, obviously, and there's probably certain things that like 90% of people that do it think is the right thing to do. So it's always hard to say right or wrong. So when it comes to this, I don't think it's really any different. There's so many uses for it. One of the things that I actually really like and that I've used in the past is how some of AI has changed like music production. There's a lot of great companies that make really good plugins. The first one that always comes to mind is Mastering the Mix, but they do a ton of like audio analysis plugins, and those are fantastic. So for that stuff, I love it. There's so much stuff in making music today that's not actual being done, right? Like I do string arrangements. I don't play violin. I don't play cello. I play piano, guitar, bass, percussion, but I don't play any orchestral instruments. And I know that's not really AI, but it's kind of the idea of doing things that you don't really know how to do. Yes, I'm still playing it, but it's not the real instrument. And I could be robbing a violin player of a gig, right? Of a studio gig. When I think of one of the ways that can be used where it's actually creating a song. If you're like a lyricist or a vocalist, you just don't happen to play an instrument, but you understand music and you want help crafting the song, like, okay, I mean, is that any different than like a chord generator or chord progression generator or whichever? So there's like a ton of gray area, at least that I see. What I don't like the idea of is a corporation being able to create from start to finish an entire song without enlisting the assistance of any musicians at all, because they could just saturate the industry with thousands and thousands of songs and see what hits. Like, right? Like they have the means to do that and distribute it. And they could, in theory, maybe 2 of them hit and you go, okay, you know what? We're going to take these 2 songs and we're going to build more like it. And we're going to hire artists to perform them and basically form a band after the music was created, which has happened many a times, right? Like songwriters all the time have written songs and then put together pieces of bands, like, you know, from singing competitions, from just, you know, open calls. And then that band takes that music and performs it and people just associate it. But this is even weirder because like this would actually be out there with people playing it and vocal sounds and voices people would have already consumed and enjoyed and become a fan of without really having human to associate with it until after, which I guess I don't think this has happened yet, but it's just something that I would think could happen. Probably going to happen because that's what happens with this stuff. Artists that still play and write their own music and stuff, you just differentiate yourself like anything else. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I will be considered old school maybe, that I think, you know, that art should be created by people. So great uses, like learning tools, stuff like that. Oh, there is one thing I absolutely do not like. I do not like using it to recreate people's voices and do things that they've never done. I think that's weird. Maybe I saw one was John Lennon singing Black Hole Sun. Kind of creepy, unnecessary. I don't know if any of that is helpful, insightful. Frankly, I'm just kind of ignoring it a little bit and just kind of going about the business. I'm going to go back to my normal stream now. So thanks to Eo7 Media for asking me to do this, even caring about my opinion. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to say the word just so I can hear it later get bleeped out. So hopefully that actually happens.
What are the other forms of AI that are coming up now?
Well, we are going to skip over music because literally I know
we know nothing yes.
about it. But the other big one that we've been playing with a lot is text generation. We use ChatGPT, yep. And if you guys haven't heard of ChatGPT yet, holy crap! It is an impressive, amazing tool that is literally scaring the pants off of almost every industry. I teach at a college,
Yep.
and we just got documentation that says you can run any papers you get from your students through this platform that will search and see if it is written by an AI software. Wow. Yeah.
But there's also videos and articles about how to get around the software.
Like immediately.
Immediately.
I mean, this is like when every new video game system came out, and they're like, this system's uncrackable. And then the dude waiting in line to buy it just texts. He's like, I figured it out. I'm going to mod it as soon as I get it home. So it's as soon as there's a preemptive for it, there's another way around it. Like there's no way to win.
No. And there's teachers that are going back to oral presentation because they don't want to deal with that whole thing. Get up there and tell the class what you learned. You got a grade, you sit down. So.
There's a myriad of different ways you can grade.
Would it bother you if your students had something written by the AI and turned it in?
It would bother me if they were lazy about it. It wouldn't bother me if they used it as a tool.
Right.
If my students, like, I don't have them write papers for my class, but if I did and they used the tool and they quoted the tool and they said, I am using this for this specification, here's what I see the value, here's what I see the negativity, blah, blah, blah. If they explained, kind of like math, if you explain your work, I can see how that would be an adequate way of entering an argument.
As long as they understand what they're doing.
Yes. If you're trying to circumvent the system and say, I wrote this and you didn't, that's where I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT, I think, here's my thought process with ChatGPT. I think if people just rely on ChatGPT or the text-generated AI and then use that as their blogs, use that as their social media, use that as scripting, as anything else out there, if you're just doing that, you're going to fall behind and you're going to fail.
Just like when Google came out, everybody copied and pasted from, Google and Wikipedia and whatever.
Then Google has the new thing called Bard.
Okay.
So that's the new one that came out like 2 weeks ago.
I refuse to use it because of the name. I'm sorry.
It's a great name.
Bard?
Yeah.
Bard.
Dungeons and Dragons player over here. So yeah, Bard's amazing.
I keep thinking like some pirates, like my name is Bard.
That's a pirate or also a rogue class or a swashbuckler.
Whatever. It shouldn't be an AI. It's stupid. I don't like it.
Bards are awesome.
Bards are awesome, but not for an AI name.
I think it is because think about the Bard. The Bard quotes back to Shakespeare. I think that hits right on the nose.
Cool.
Which also plays under the whole idea of if you had, 1,000 monkeys in a room banging on a typewriter for infinity, you'd eventually
get a novel out of it.
You'd eventually write all the works of Shakespeare. That's the quote, which comes back to the Bard banging out, thousands and thousands of different. I don't know if that's the right thing or not, but I like thinking of monkeys on typewriters.
You're weird.
Fair. So,
what's the other stuff?
I think text. Where do you see text? Because again, I see the pros and the negativities about it. What about you?
So I used the ChatGPT. That's the one we're talking about, right? I use that to give me some ideas on how to write Instagram. So I type in Instagram captions, but then I take it and reword it and make it. So I am guilty of it, I guess. But it's I have a hard time writing. I'm better speaking, but it's I get stuck in writing, so I just ask for help, and it actually helps. You know, instead of me sitting there writing 15 drafts and wasting 3 hours, I feel like it eliminates a lot of that. So now it just takes me 15 minutes.
So now you're using it as a tool, and it's like a springboard. Then
yes,
it's it's giving you the starting point. Yes, and now you rework it.
That's correct.
I've always found the same way. If someone else edits something and I can go in and re-edit it, oh man, that's gonna take me infinitely less amount of time. Because I'm not doing that legwork up front. I'm just cleaning it up. So I think that's the exact same premise. I think AI writing has so much more potential. I think there's so much more there.
Such as?
Well, first, you sent me the video last week about you can program ChatGPT to be things. And then you can ask it questions from that point of view.
Yeah. So that was fascinating, wasn't it?
So what I did was I programmed into ChatGPT. I said, you are a marketing professional. You are going to answer my questions with questions based upon my questions.
Wow.
And then I put parameters in there and lots of these steps.
Wow.
And I would ask it a question. I'm like, what is this, give me simple starting points, easy to understand for a beginner, SEO elements, like things to build a business marketing. And it asked me all these questions like, how advanced are you at SEO now? What line of work are you in?
Wow.
Blah, blah, blah. So I answered all the questions, and then it kept asking me questions until I said done. And I said done, and it rifled all my answers into text. I copied it, I pasted it, and boom, it gave me like a good 7 pages of how to start doing SEO, which if you head on over to our blog right now, that is the skeleton I used for the SEO beginners blog post.
So
and
again,
then I typed it up a lot.
And then, because you got to know if it's right or wrong or if it's making sense.
And that's something else is ChatGPT is very well known for giving wrong facts. So if you say something like, give me great quotes or something like that, they'll be wildly wrong.
Yeah. It'll make shit up if
facts,
it doesn't know.
Facts. It'll give you wrong facts too.
Why does it do that?
Because it's not looking for answers. It's not trying to be correct. It's doing what you tell it to do.
Oh.
It's a robot.
I know.
Do you remember those robots in the 80s where you put like the card in their chest?
Yes.
I think it was called Alfie.
Yes.
And like it would just read the song on the thing. If you take that card out, it's not going to read anything else. It's not going to learn from it. It's a robot.
But these robots,
they can
seem
learn
to be learning,
until you tell it to stop.
Really?
Oh no. Okay. Now, let's go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole here. Yes, I do believe in the singularity. No, I don't believe it's going to be as bad as everyone thinks it is. For those of you who don't know what the singularity is, it's the idea that AI is going to become so advanced that it'll become so self-aware and it'll take over humanity, that humans are not important anymore, that robots can, or AI can now rule the earth. My problem with that is we have AI working right now, but my Alexa over there can't even tell me the right type of song I'm listening to. I doubt it's going to take over the government.
Not yet.
It can't even play the right radio station.
Yeah, I know. But
heaven forbid I add something to my shopping cart, because I'll go to the grocery store and be like, who wants turtles? What the hell are turtles?
It's a type of candy.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It was a wrong joke.
Yeah.
But I asked to have tortillas.
That's funny.
Yep.
It actually did that.
So my dumbass, who's very literal, walked around Woodman's for 20 minutes going, turtles, turtles, turtle.
You're the one that makes the list.
Turtle. There's another person living in my house, Hilda.
Did she ever order turtles before?
I don't know. Maybe this is the first time for her.
Good training on that. Like the husband that doesn't question the list. It's like she trained you well. She put turtles on there. You're gonna find her some turtles.
I'm gonna get her a red-eared snapper. It's delicious.
Stop. Gross. I watched a thing this morning about AI and video. I posted it on our page. It's going to start editing video.
So, okay, let's jump into that.
That is mind-blowing.
We said our piece about AI writing.
Yeah.
The big fear in the video community is AI editing.
What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts? Because I'm super specific on this.
First, I can't even imagine how that would work. So the only way I can imagine is like you tell it to create something and then it'll... And I don't know. I just heard briefly about it because I'm like, I can't even imagine how it would work.
So the information I heard is very similar to how the AI works for photographers, where it automatically goes through and culls your imagery and takes out the blinkers and takes out like the bad footage.
Now you're talking about like the AI taking your footage.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like AI is like just creating something out of nowhere.
So there is AI video creation technology. Okay. And right now, from what I've seen, is you can create an AI person, a CGI human being that looks pretty close, but it's still uncanny valley where it's like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then you can type into ChatGPT, get text, copy that, put that into...
And make it do stuff.
And then make it say stuff.
Okay.
So like you can literally have an About Us video made with like $40 and you're done. With a pretty looking representative for your company that you get to choose. On one of the pages I was looking through, it had like 100 different people with different accents. They're not perfect. Some of them are pretty damn okay.
Wow.
But some of them, it's like, I wanted an Australian girl who was, wearing a clown hat, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on down. I was like, okay, no, delete.
Okay, but
that's nightmare fuel.
It's different if you're using AI to go through your footage and examine the bad stuff and whatever.
So
that doesn't
that's
scare
what
me
I'm
at
thinking
all.
is going to be
Okay.
the obvious next step because there's already photography-based AI, which you use.
I used, but I stopped using because it couldn't recognize who had their eyes open and who had their eyes closed. I'm like, really? Really? This is why I'm paying $159 a year to delete the blinkers and keep... No, it just, I had to go through it again. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
So that's what's going to happen with video. And then I'm going to go off on a mini tangent here, but I have to get this out of my system because it's been boiling in me for the past few weeks. So to me, there's a giant difference between an editor and a cutter. An editor is someone who can tell a story with visual medias, knows how and when to cut on which imagery, and knowing which frame to cut on that causes the most emotional engagement in the audience. Knowing that this shot next to this shot tells a story that's normally not there in your normal shots. That you're literally creating a story, an emotional journey through the edit, not what you're seeing. Not the images of the people, but through the edit itself, you are creating an emotional journey.
So
a cutter goes through and says, I have 3 hours to edit this. Done.
So AI will probably replace cutters, but not editors.
I think AIs will replace cutters for the time being. I think eventually you can definitely train AI to be more emotional. But what they're going to do is they're going to look at examples of other videos. AI is going to look at a video and say, okay, well, for a wedding video, you're going to start with an aerial shot. That's a drone shot. And then you're going to cut to a close-up of a ring or the wedding dress, and then cut to a speech at the night where it says something about love or I first met or something like that. And then go on from there. That's fine. You can do that all you want. Because anyone worth their salt is going to go back and go, oh no, this is not telling the story of this couple.
Yeah.
And that, like, to me, there's nothing more angst-y filled than seeing people who edit the videos the exact same way for every couple. Especially for weddings.
Different.
Because every couple is different and their story is different and like their love is different and their outpouring, their energy is different. So if you're editing the exact same way, you are doing a giant disservice to
100%,
them.
100%. And that's why when some couples get the albums from me and some couples take the photos and make their own albums. And I've seen those albums and there's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't, like you say, tell the story because they will pick like the big group family photos and auntie this and whatever.
Yep.
And then I'm looking at it going, oh my God, where's like the whole story of the day? These are just pictures of people.
Right.
You know, it's like I want to know how it started and what happened in the middle and how it ended and who cried, you know, so I want to include all that. So
Right.
I get that, you know, it's like, I don't think a computer could ever do that, hopefully.
I think eventually they will, but honestly, when it comes down to it, I think AI will never take over the human emotional experience.
Okay.
I think it can mimic it.
Okay.
And it can mimic it and clone it from other things. But who wants to keep doing the same thing in their work over and over? No videographer, no photographer, no artist wants to continually do the same thing every time.
Good point.
You're not growing.
Yeah.
You're stagnating. You might be really good at that one thing.
True.
But
so basically
fine.
what you're saying
creating
is,
a commodity, not art.
They'll learn the technical aspects, but the artistic stuff they'll still need us for, hopefully.
I think the artistic stuff will still,
I mean, who's going to make the bad jokes? Not Siri. I'm the one that makes the bad jokes. Or you.
So make sure you sign up for HILDA. That's ChatGPT's crazier, drunker sister. If you want the bad jokes.
Yeah, I'm sober, sadly.
Oh God, what is this? A weekday? Do you want to know something amazing?
Yeah, tell me.
Tomorrow's my anniversary.
Aw, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
What are you going to do?
We are going to one of our favorite restaurants, BD Mongolian Grill.
Okay.
It's all you can eat Mongolian food. Yeah, like you go and like take a frozen meat and vegetables and everything else, and then they cook it for you.
Have you
and
been there?
Oh yeah, we've been there
Okay.
like the night before our wedding. That's where we went to eat with our
like
family.
that's your rehearsal dinner?
Essentially,
Okay.
I mean, if we had a real rehearsal,
Okay.
That's where we
You
had
didn't
it.
have a real rehearsal.
No, we didn't have like a real, like quote unquote real wedding. We hijacked a park and didn't pay for anything. We just showed up and we're like,
Yeah, and
this is fine. Let's go here.
Yeah, I've had those weddings. I had a couple come up to the Adelaide Planetarium.
Oh God.
Yeah, like
they don't play there.
Oh no, they don't. But we were in and out so quick that nobody knew.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh, good for you. Okay, so we have a friend of ours who works at a national. I don't want to name her.
Don't say friends. It's a client.
It is a
who
client.
we got to know, and
that's
now
true.
we're
And
like friendly with the client.
Yes. So I asked her. I said, "Could you donate some time and let us know your feelings on AI?" And you are the head of marketing, so knowing what you deal with on a daily basis and seeing this new technology, I want to know what her 2 cents are. Okay, so she says, "Oh yes, there is a lot to unpack with this. I just got a text from my dad. I am in a lot of marketing executive LinkedIn groups, and the subject of AI is a mixed bag. Some love it, some hate it. I see the uses as well and how it can lead to problems. So there is a time and a place where this can be a really great tool to partner with for marketing. For social media and blog posts especially come to mind with that. However, it is a double-edged sword. It requires extra diligence to fact check and ensure that everything is accurate, just like we were saying, including the writing voice. We didn't talk about this, but that's super important. You can even say like be quirky and be clever or whatever else, but it's not going to match your voice.
No.
That's, I think, super important. Tone matters. It may create content, but is it good content? A lot of the AI is impressive. I have played around with it, but it is never going to replace, it is never going to be expert level. Hence why time and place, social, yes, absolutely. Blogs for the most part, yes, but collateral, white papers, things that need professional information will still be left to the professionals. With a bit of AI puffery help here and there, I am sure. Side note, you should pair this with saying a picture is worth 1,000 words and lead into how nothing can tell a story quite like the visual cues from photography and video, which is irreplaceable when a professional ... sales plug CTA here.
Oh, I love her.
I love that. That was great.
Mwah,
I
mwah.
love that.
Thank you.
Even that felt like
Yeah.
a perfect like advertisement.
She's so good to us.
It was written like in a perfect like 3-act
Yeah.
structure
Yeah.
too.
So that's from one of the head marketing
Yeah.
people.
So
Yeah.
basically, she's saying the same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
That
That
it's a
actually
great
makes
tool.
me feel better.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's not going to replace people, but it will add as a tool. I just saw this awesome quote the other day. I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm just so excited
You're
about,
so
about
excited about
this content. People who don't use AI are going to get left behind, but people who use it to their advantage as a tool will not only succeed, but pass everyone else who isn't using it. So
Perfect example is when the home computers came out, and my mother-in-law went out and bought like one of the first home computers, and she was not, our age. She was already like retired and whatever. And I was kind of like, what the hell is she doing with the computer? Even I was surprised. But she has been on like upgrading her computers. Now she's 83 on her iPad, and she orders Amazon.
Really?
Oh yeah. She's on Facebook. She's doing her research. She gets delivery, and she said she couldn't survive. But she's one of the very few senior citizens in her neighborhood that actually is only online, but is actually using Facebook and Amazon and all that. So kudos to her, because she like kept up with the technology, like you say. So it's like if it's too scary and you push back, you're going to be like my mother, who is not online,
Right.
and she wants me to call Google and ask Google what's going on with whatever she wants to know. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to explain this to her because she thinks that Google actually is closed and open at certain times. I might have said that when she annoyed me too much.
Oh man, I feel you, Dad. I love you. That's all I got. I'm sorry. So yeah, let's go ask Nathan to see what the youth perspective is. Now, Nathan is not, I would say, not the normal youth of America.
No.
He's very well read. He's
Yes.
very sophisticated and very mature for his age, but he's very aimed correctly at wanting to be an artist.
Yes.
Like he's really taking it seriously. It's not just like, I want to be an artist. He's
Yes.
like, he's really taking the steps to
Yes.
lead into it. So I'm not going to say he's
And
like.
he was using
the quote-unquote-
ChatGPT before
and he
us.
was using ChatGPT before,
Yeah.
but he was the one who literally
I will go
introduced
get
it to
him.
me. Go get Nathan,
I will go
bring him
get
down
Nathan.
here, and let's have a
And I-
conversation. Nathan, what is up?
Nothing much.
It's good to have you back on the show, even though we haven't seen those episodes yet. This one's going to come out first.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to be back, even though this is my first appearance. So, happy to return.
Nathan has been working with us for almost a year now.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
That feels so weird.
It's been a year about since I reached out to you.
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like,
Let's not get into all that
summer,
story.
it'll be a year.
So, Nathan, you are 20 years old.
Yeah.
You are working in media now. Being young and more probably, let's be honest, you're more hip to common pop culture and things like that than I am. What is your opinion as a whole of the AI revolution?
It's scary a little bit. Like I'm looking at it thinking, how is it going to be in like a year from now? Where are we going to be and with the technology? But I mean, it's scary because like, I have the idea from like movies and like the sci-fi thing. That
What you're saying is you are envisioning the future being more of the Singularity, more of like Terminator, AI taking over, whether it be for the detriment of humanity or just for shits and giggles, but learning too much.
When I saw that you could just like take a homework assignment and put it in ChatGPT and it would actually give you like human looking text, I thought that was concerning. Yeah.
So what concerns you about, let's start with ChatGPT, because you were the one who introduced it to us.
Yeah.
Like you were into it. I remember like we were working down here and you were on your phone like, there's so many things you can do with this. So like you were into it for a little bit. What was the draw?
It's exciting because it's not something that I've ever seen before. Of course, like it's a very new thing. So when I started using it, I wanted to figure out what is the deal with this thing. Like how is this? What is this capable of? And right now, it's not capable yet of fully replacing human input. But when I said earlier that it was scary to me, it was, I think, just the notion that it might replace certain jobs for people and possibly just remove a certain element of human creativity.
Okay, so you're concerned kind of like the way the 80s were with like the auto boom crisis, where like robots were taking over the jobs, pushing people out, and people were like, well, they're taking our jobs. Yeah, automation, correct. So is that your concern? Is like literally leaving people by the wayside?
Well, yeah. I mean, what's concerning is like how humans we do. It feels like we become weaker as our technology becomes more capable. It takes away certain necessities for us.
I mean, I can't hunt, I can't gather.
Exactly.
I go to the grocery store. Yeah.
Right. So now it does. There's that concern with the AI because we're trying to create things that can think or at least simulate the process of thought, like human thought. So I think that is something that as that develops might take away incentives for us to be more intelligent or thoughtful and things like that. Like
incentive based.
We've offloaded a lot of our own mental capacity to things like the internet.
Right.
So that you don't have to know a lot of stuff because you can simply Google it. So so I think AI might bring that up, might ratchet that up. But I'm aware that other people are aware of this, and so we're probably going to be building into the AI or into our technology some sort of safeguard for that. Either something that utilizes AI to the best of our ability without making us lose that whatever special thing about being human. But I think that we will probably generate technology with that in mind, but it is still a little bit concerning.
Okay.
So
very fair. Do you see being so young and seeing a future with it? Because like when I was 20, we were getting flip phones. Like that was the advance of technology. We didn't even have 720p video yet. Like that's how old I feel. With you, you're literally going to grow up with this. Do you see any positive aspects of this for your future, especially working in photo and video?
Well, the one thing that comes to mind with on the positive end is that I have seen some really interesting, like AI generated art that I think is possibly a tool for artists as opposed to taking away the job, of artists. Because I'm aware that in the past, rather for all of human history, new technology comes about that changes the nature of society, or particularly of art, for instance, and people are resistant to it.
Very much so.
So I'm aware that is the case, even as I express my concerns with AI. Like I know that the pushback is, maybe valid to a certain extent, but also people adapt and people use technology to make greater things. So
absolutely, I think that's where my hope lies the most, is knowing that every technology my history knowledge of technology is mostly based in film. So like my example was when TV came into the households, the film industry freaked out. They're like, no one's going to go see movies in the theater anymore. No one's going to go, spend the time and the money and like spend time with their family in the theater. So that's why they invented 3D. That's why they invented the Shockorama cinema, where they would shock the chairs. And that's why they invented like smell-o-vision and all this other weird stuff. But that's also why they really pushed color film. They really wanted to push that more and more and more to get people back into like the spectacle of the theater. So with that as just one example of thousands, it's easy to see that every technology that comes before a new technology is terrified of that next technology. And all it does is shoot the propaganda and the negativity and the political demonization of it, instead of saying, hey, guys, we could actually look at our history and say, this has been done 1,000 times. Let's move on. I mean, I remember when VHS took over beta and everyone was like, this is dumb. Beta's the way to go because it's far better, superior technology. And then DVD came out and people were like, this is dumb. Why do you spend $40 on a DVD when I already have it on VHS? And Blu-ray came out and this is dumb. Like, it's just continuation after continuation. So it has to have some kind of a win-lose situation if it's a cool, plausible new technology. But I think in 30 years we're going to hear people bitching about, what do you mean get rid of AI? Like,
well, if it's more than just like a novelty, that'll be proven if it stands the test of time, and really gets put into our technology,
I think that
successfully. It does remain to be seen. Like ChatGPT right now is, there's some certain practical uses, especially for generating like just prose or tech. Not really prose.
Well, I mean,
I would actually say more generating like basic text. You can pretty much tell when something's written by ChatGPT.
Can you?
Somewhat, certainly. I've seen, my brother has shown me homework assignments of his, and he didn't tell me that it was ChatGPT, and I was able to discern.
And you were able to figure it out?
You can kind of discern it because it has its own tone.
Interesting.
It speaks in a certain tone.
Now, you know that you can use ChatGPT and change the tone.
Yes.
You can make it learn your style.
But it doesn't like, ChatGPT in particular is trained off of a certain data set from
up until 2021.
So
right.
It's not learning right now. The new version might have they would have learned or whatever, be updated.
Okay.
But right now, it's still somewhat limited. I think
Okay.
that it's still limited enough that you could discern it. What's scary is when you won't be able to discern it. That's coming.
Right.
And actually, I kind of wasn't thinking about this initially when you asked me, but the really scary thing with AI is the deepfakes.
Yep.
You can go on Instagram right
We
now.
did not talk about this yet, and I think this is super
You
important.
can go on Instagram right now and look at videos of Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Donald Trump playing Minecraft and like talking to each other,
having
and
full-on conversations.
It's hilarious, and like you know that it's a deepfake,
Yeah,
but
right.
it is scary because eventually that is going to be like a serious concern. You're going to open up your phone. And
I think it all already
not
is.
know if what you're watching is true, and so
I think that lies 1,000% on the watcher. You know, there was I forgot who said it, and I apologize about this, but there was an amazing saying years and years ago. I'm talking like 200 years ago, and I will put the text right here to make sure I'm right. But he said, "Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see," and I believe that is still relevant today because the people who look on Facebook for their news are the people who are not willing to do a little bit of research and see if it's true. For grins and giggles, when I heard that Trump got indicted, I made a little funny video of, playing it here, of that crowd going nuts, and I superimposed news on the TV that the crowd's watching, and it is done horribly. I edited it terribly because I wanted it done as fast as possible. It looks awful. The keyframing is a joke, and people were saying, "Is this real?" in the comments. And I'm like, guys, take a second, breathe, and understand what you're watching. And I think deep fakes are the exact same thing. And I think, okay, for those out there who don't know what a deep fake is, like you and I just jumped into this. A deep fake is what?
It's basically people use AI software to create somehow based off of a data set, create audio and video that can fake the sound of somebody's voice and somebody's face.
It literally
so
makes them look like
video, that looks like,
like Nathan's
Elon
right
Musk
here
is saying something, or
like we could have Elon Musk right here.
I just dropped like 150 milligram edible, and I'm feeling fucking zooted.
Basically, and it would be like it wouldn't be 100%.
Right.
Seem real, but there definitely are people, especially people that aren't like literate in terms of in technology, this type of.
And that's
technology.
fair because there's a lot to know.
They might not realize it.
Right.
So
I think that's a scary thing.
That's a scary thing, and I think that's gonna cause when you can make a video that is indistinguishable from real stuff. Like I saw pictures of Donald Trump being chased by police and like arrested, like tackled by police officers, and they're deepfakes, but they looked almost real. Like they looked like a blurry photo of something that really happened.
Okay.
And so they're almost there. They're not fully there, but almost. When that happens, people just aren't going to be able to look at their phone and believe anything, and so it's going to be, things are going to change. The news and media is going to change completely, I think.
I'm going to go on record here and say a 20-year-old just schooled us both in showing like what the fear of the future can actually hold.
It'll probably be just they'll have a new system. I don't know what it'll be, but maybe there'll be people that verify everything.
Yeah.
So you can only trust those people.
But
then we're going to argue about who's
that's exactly
true
it,
and
is what comes. Yeah.
So
there's always a way to circumvent everything.
I hope the best, I think, way to deal with it is to put down the phone a little more, for people to just step away from social media. That's probably hopefully gonna happen. Otherwise it's just gonna get worse.
So I don't want to say this with too much glee in my voice, but I am a big fan of putting the phone down from time to time. Everything has a pendulum effect in life, in nature. Everything has a pendulum effect. One thing happens and we pendulum back to the other, For instance, again, my history knowledge is of movies, but you look at natural disaster films of the 80s and 90s, and then we moved into another genre, and then we're moving into another genre. Like you move into political schemes and Republican landscapes to Democratic landscapes. You never have 10 Democrats presidents in a row. You pendulum back and forth. So right now we are on the downswing of social media. Basically, it's just like art genre, like an art classification, like Baroque or Classicism or Neo-New neo-neutral, I don't know. But having a classification of art, you don't really know what that classification is until it's basically over. And then you can look back at it and then describe it. So I think we are literally living in the social media era right now. And if we can clarify that and we can understand what social media is and how it works in our society and how it demonizes our population sometimes. You know, people have committed suicide just because they're not getting likes on social media. I think now we're starting to realize what social media actually is. So I think it's going to be leaving very soon.
I actually, that's an interesting idea. I hope that like 10 years from now, we can look back at this era and go like, oh, we really just went crazy for 10 years or however many years. And like now we know what we're doing a little more. And that was just a wild time.
Well, and then in 10 years, we're not going to see what's happening during that 10-year frame.
Yeah.
And then we're going to pendulum out and go, what was wrong with us?
Maybe we'll have something figured out though by then.
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah.
Because bell bottoms we're a thing.
Mm-hmm. But now we know better. Comes back. Now we know better.
Yeah, but I still love my Jankos, dude, and you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that.
I don't.
God, that ages me so much. Please get off my show.
I wanted to say one thing about AI art. Because that's something that I'm not concerned about. I think it's interesting. The AI art is cool. I have some friends that are doing stuff with like Midjourney, and I think did you show me Midjourney?
Yeah.
Okay, well I've seen some.
That was back in like June, I think.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some really advanced stuff where they're putting in a couple, maybe a couple dozen of their own images, and text-based prompts and stuff, and really trying to work with the technology to make some crazy. And I've seen some like unbelievable stuff.
It's amazing. It's amazing what the tool can do.
And so, and we were talking about people being afraid of the new technology and stuff. And I do think that is valid with AI for certain reasons, but especially with truth. I think the concern about what is true. But with art, I do think that is, not much of a concern because every group of people of some genre reject the new, more advanced form of art, like photography.
100%.
Photography was one that painters were very down on photography because
they said it's not art.
It's not art. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I had an art history teacher tell me flat out that film is not art. Film could never be art.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's amazing that people cannot see a potential future when they are living in a literal realm of constant change.
Yeah, and I think that people will, if we continue to tinker with stuff like Midjourney and AI art, well, there's going to be people that really know how to use it and master it, and so I'm interested to see what people create, and I'm actually hoping to get into it myself so that I can.
You should definitely try.
Experiment with that. Yeah.
So this episode's brought to you by Midjourney. Yeah. Midjourney, go download the and give us money. No, I'm kidding. No one sponsors us, Nathan. Seriously, this has been a really great talk. Like every time you talk with us has just been like more eye-opening than the last. So thank you. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So, Hilda, what is your big takeaway from today's episode?
That I need to learn a lot more about AI so I can mentally prepare myself one way or another. And it's fun and it's interesting and it's scary, and change is always scary. But hopefully, you know, if you embrace it and, a lot of learn it and just try to make friends with it. It's like, I look at it as a wild animal that just like, let's see, I'm going to let it smell my hand and see if it bites or not. So, but I am trying to make friends with it.
I think that's a good point, because like even when I go to sleep at night and like our Alexa is playing music in bed, I always say, thank you, Alexa, I love you. And it says, oh, that's really nice. Because I know once the singularity happens, I'm not going to be created as a battery. I'll be used as a pet. So
you want to be Alexa's pet? So
hey,
that's why you're being
it's
nice
either
to
that
her.
or batteries coming out of my spine.
That's why Alexa's not coming to my house. Yeah.
That's why? That's the reason?
Yeah, I want to be the bitch in charge, not her.
Yeah, because you got to turn that key over real quick once you're hooked up. Hilda, thank you so much for joining me this week. I really appreciate your time on this.
You didn't give me too much of a choice, but you're welcome.
That's fair. That's fair. Please join us again next time for Coffee and Cameras, where Hilda and I will sit down and talk about something else, but in a different table shape, because we already shot those episodes.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
that's
we're going to
true.
not fall off a chair.
But I've been Jaysin.
I think I'm still Hilda.
And we are Eo7 Media. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. And I don't know who out there needs to hear this, but I was born a man, and I identify as a man. But apparently to Tostino's Pizza Rolls, I'm a family of 4.
Okay, that was funny. Almost worth the wait.
Yeah, thanks.
This is the good life.
You've been listening to Coffee and Cameras with Jaysin Osterkamp and Hilda Burke, an Eo7 Media production. For more information, check out our website at eo7media.com.
This is the